Hello, 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 welcome back to the Saba show, and today we've got the round 11 predictions for the AFL season. We've only got 1 week to go. This is the first week, or the last week before the first week of the buys. So a lot of teams are going to be looking to go into the buys with some good form. So without further ado, let's dive into this week. First game of the round is Sydney taking on Richmond. Richmond picked up the dub against the Bombers, like a lot of teams have, and the Swannies, well, they went down by 15 points to the Blues. That first half by them was pretty appalling. Conceded 80 points. Did well to fight back into the game, but unfortunately they were just too far back. Richmond, they lost Tom Lynch with a hamstring injury. However, that didn't really hinder them. The win wasn't too convincing. However, you take the 4 points and you run. That's all that really matters. Some very good performances there. I think Rewald kicked 4 goals. Tom Lynch, before he came off, had 4 behind. So use that information how you please. The Swans will not have Josh Kennedy for like 8 to 10 weeks, 2 months. With that really bizarre hamstring injury where he got suspended or booked in the tribunal at the exact same time. So, yeah, quite bizarre that. But look, tough fixture. Richmond have probably, been a team that's gone under the radar. That 6-4, it doesn't really feel like they've played like that, but they've had some really good results in there. The Swannies started really well, and the last few weeks they've dropped off. So this one's at the SEG as well. I would say the Swans would have picked up the W, but they've actually dropped a few games at home to the Queensland clubs. I'm going to tip Sydney. They're getting row bottom back this week. Not sure how much that's going to impact them, but Richmond, I think they may struggle to find an output of goals. I think they could defend really well, but Swans to pick up the 4 points and bounce back. Brisbane GWS now, and Brisbane lost by 5 points on the weekend to the Hawks. They always seem to do this in Launceston, and it happened again, and I pretty much called it. GWS against West Coast, they picked up the win as well. It was a bit of a weird start. They kicked like 8 goals, but probably gave West Coast their highest score in a quarter, or in the first quarter for the whole season, basically. So they picked up a victory. Their 3 wins this season have come against the Crows, the Eagles, and another team which I can't remember, but they weren't that good. Gold Coast Suns. Gold Coast aren't awful, but picked up the W's there. Brisbane, this is at the Gabba. They're a top 8 side. They were pretty much flying before that loss, that little hiccup there. They actually had the lead in the third quarter and somehow managed to, let that one get away. But I think Brisbane will bounce back here. GWS had a lot of players missing last week. They're going to get a few back. Prusy will come back. Whitfield is possibly going to return. Taranto's still out, but I think Lockie Ash is also going to come in. So very good ins there. This could potentially create an upset, but I think Brisbane at the Gabba, we've said this numerous times before. They're very formidable over there, so they're going to get the 4 points. Geelong are a team I don't give enough coverage. They are playing at GMHBA against the Crows, who, were very good in their game against St Kilda. They actually stuck with them for pretty much the entire game, and then last 10 minutes or so when I finally decided to tune in, given I thought it was going to be a really good finish, it sort of let down a little bit. They just fell away and ended up losing by a margin that wouldn't do them any justice. Cats at home picked up the 4 points against the Power. You expected them to do it. You also flagged that there could have been an upset, but it was never in doubt for them. They started the game really well, and they just took it from there. I think they'll back up their performance again this week, obviously playing another Adelaide side at the home ground. So Adelaide Oval and GMHBA, I don't really know their dimensions, but GMHBA is one of the most narrow grounds in the AFL. So if there's going to be a team that knows how to defend that ground, it is Geelong. Last 2 games there, they haven't conceded more than 70 points, and the Crows, who already struggle to get over 70, will have their work cut out for them here. Geelong should win this one, no stress. We've got an absolute ripper at 4:35 at the MCG. It is Melbourne taking on the Dockers. The Dockers have lost their last 2 games after starting exceptionally well. The D's, just haven't really skipped a beat, let's be honest. That North Melbourne game, though, first half they actually left the door open for North to have a bit of an opportunity in the second half, but I think they were holding a really good record North against the D's at Marvel Stadium going into it, but given the form, I mean, this one was never really in doubt for the D's. They won by 47 and did not play their best footy. So can you imagine how much of a blowout it would have been if they had have started as well as they ended? Fremantle, as I said, well, they just can't seem to play in wet weather conditions. Gold Coast did not deliver on the weather front. And the same thing happened in this game against Collingwood, lost by 6 goals. Really struggled to score. I think they kicked 2 goals in the first half and never were really able to get within that 3-goal margin for the whole game. Their forward line just struggles whenever it's raining, and they're now losing a pretty key player in Switkowski for a couple of weeks. He's a really good small forward, so if they get another wet weather contest, you're already losing a presence there in the forward line to really complement the other problems. So it's going to be interesting to see how this one goes. The D's, you just can't go past them. I don't know when they're going to lose next. Fremantle a couple of weeks ago, I would have backed them in to possibly steal the game. But now that they've picked up a couple losses that they should have won, or against teams they should have beaten, D's are going to win this one. Night fixture, West Coast Bulldogs. Bulldogs won by 19 points. Actually got given a run for their money against Gold Coast up at Mars Stadium. They've had it actually really tough up there, and you would have thought they would have been in a more advantageous position. They got West Coast away from home, who lost by 52. And amazingly enough, it was probably one of their better performances of the year. Actually nearly got 90 points on the scoreboard, which is an achievement in itself for the Eagles, who have really struggled to score this year. Big problem was they conceded 140. And they conceded 7 goals or 8 goals in the first quarter, about 90 in the half. And you're not winning a game on the back of that. So, it's just really bad for the Eagles at the moment. They are in just a world of pain. Yeah, Bulldogs are going to win this one. 5-5 going to 6-5. Pick up a couple wins on the trot. Other night game is in Darwin. I think this is the first game in Darwin for the season. Suns are taking on the Hawks, who are even on record. Hawks, very good win by 5 points on the weekend. Jai Newcomb continues to be an absolute gun in the midfield, despite not having picked up a Rising Star nomination. He's actually considered one of the front runners, so he's got to get the nom first, and then I think a few other candidates will be in trouble. The Suns lost the game, but once again they've been well in the contest. Joel Jeffrey played about half a dozen games and kicked 5 goals on the weekend in Ballarat. So, fair play to the guy, and fair play to the Suns, who have been a much better outfit this season. The Hawks, as I said, they just continue to pull out results in Launceston, in Tasmania, especially against Brisbane. It's just happened again and again and again. And Tommy Mitchell was back to his best. So, look, I would back Hawthorn to win this one. It's going to be very greasy conditions up on the Gold Coast, very tropical, should I say, in Darwin. Regardless, I think it's going to be difficult for both teams to adjust to the weather conditions. I do remember Carlton playing Gold Coast there a couple seasons ago. So who knows how much information that'll provide as to how the Suns will cope. But look, I think the Hawks, given how well they performed on the weekend, I think they're going to be absolutely flying, absolutely buzzing. They'll pick up the 4 points in this game. Sunday fixtures now with St Kilda taking on North. Do I have to say really anything about North Melbourne? They lost a couple key figures internally this week. I think 3 figures. And Jason Horne-Francis allegedly went to Adelaide whilst he was injured without telling the club. So that really just, speaks volumes about how the club is performing, the state that they're in. The Saints, mind you, it wasn't convincing. They picked up the win against the Crows, and they've got another opportunity to pick up some easy 4 points here. They've got to take it, and I do back them in. It's a home game for St Kilda. Not that it matters anyway. North weren't going to get any fans in at a home game, so that was really depicted last week. So yeah, St Kilda to pick up the 4 points. I think this one's pretty easy to pick. And now another game that is up there with one of the most exciting matchups of the round. It's Carlton taking on Collingwood. Ladder position would suggest that Carlton have got this one in the bag, but it is quite far from that. The Pies have picked up some good scalps in recent weeks. They've been inconsistent as hell, though, and you don't know what you're going to get from them. The Blues still can't string together 4 quarters, but still pick up the victories, you know. It doesn't really matter if they play 2 quarters. They have an absolute goal explosion in the first half, and that's ultimately enough. You know, it gives them enough of a buffer to, you know, hold on. Obviously, you can't be doing that forever, though, and against the Collingwood outfit that, you know, obviously capitalized on a Fremantle side that probably thought they were going to, you know, get it entirely their way last week. The Pies performed extremely well. I did not really watch the game, though. Obviously put up a hell of a shift defensively as well. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher. I do think, though, that Charlie Curnow is not going to get it as easy as he did last week. He was on absolute fire in the first half. And, yeah, you would imagine that Darcy Moore and Jeremy Howe are going to make his life extremely difficult. But I think the small forwards are going to be the key. If the weather is cold and wet, then the small forwards are going to be more important than ever. And I think Carlton are going to just be too good. I mean, every single time something's been thrown at them, you know, it really hasn't phased them. Unless a key pillar like Wiedering goes down, then there may be a few more issues at the helm. But for the moment, any challenge that comes the Blues' way, it doesn't phase them. And I think Collingwood is just going to be another victim of that. So Blues to pick up the 4 points in a tight one. Final game of the round, and it is Port Adelaide taking on the Bombers. And the Bombers, as we mentioned at the very start of the video, they are losers, or were losers last week, against the Tigers by about 5 goals. Mind you, it wasn't the worst of performances, but they just aren't good enough at the moment. They just don't have the firepower. You know, if you're holding Tom Lynch to no goals, then you see that as a win. But if you're holding him to no goals and still losing by 5 goals, then you've got issues. They are getting a few players back this week, though, I believe. McDonald, Tip and Woody retiring, that is just devastating. He would have been a hell of an inclusion if he ever got back to full fitness. Mind you, that looked like it was going to take forever to happen. The Power lost by 6 goals to the Cats last week. They are 4-6. They have somewhat rescued their season, but obviously started with 5 losses, 1-4 on the trot, and then Geelong were just a little bit of a speed bump. So, look, Port Adelaide, I think they'll get the win here. Adelaide Oval, they're going to be feral as per usual. The Bombers have not coped with pressure this season. Mind you, they had a situation where they just had nothing to lose against Hawthorn and won the game. So you just feel if there's no pressure on the Bombers and they've got nothing to play for, then they're going to go out there and give one hell of a fight. But look, I think given, you know, the amount of pressure that's on them, you know, attending interviews to justify their performances is just really a representation of that. So look, Power to win this one in a game where possibly Charlie Dixon will return and could be dangerous. But I have heard Harry Jones could be returning alongside Jordan Ridley. So they are some very big inclusions alongside Jai Caldwell as well. So good ins for the Bombers, but I think that's not really going to make a difference in the grand scheme. So Port to win. That's it from me. I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe as per usual. Weekly thing from me. Hope you enjoy it. You know, give us some feedback on the videos if you have any. And that's going to be it. So thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your day. And I will see you in the next one. Peace out.